Hello Internet, it's me, Hewlett, with another Geek Diary for you. Today I've sort of classied things up a bit. I've got an NEX6 plugged into an HDMI cable, which takes us to a nice little monitor that I've got set up, and a microphone, and a light, and I'm feeling all sort of studio today. Basically, I'm a camera nerd and I wanted to play, and much as I love the iPhone 5, it's just kind of fun to have all this stuff to play with. So that's what I'm doing for you today. I'm upstairs in the attic portion of our new house, where Christine and Jane have been very kind to allow me to have a little place to set up while my basement fan cave dries out. Basically, the basement has some water issues. We've got a guy coming in to look at it tomorrow. Oh my gosh! But you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So I could be up here for a while, but I'm very grateful to Christine and Jane for allowing me a little place upstairs in the open air where I can actually shoot this stuff. So today I want to talk about buying houses, because it's that time of year when everyone's sort of running around looking at open houses and considering moving and you know, considering the whole housing market type thing. And I thought, well, I've been doing this for like 30 years, so maybe there's some tips that I could pass along here, and perhaps there are some that I can get back from you guys. So basically, I bought my first house when I was 18 years old. My father kind of strong-armed me, bullied me basically into buying a house because I had made a bit of money doing a couple of TV movies, and he felt that perhaps a house was a better investment than, you know, multiple computers and more motorcycles. So probably a wise decision on his part. I'm certainly glad I took his advice. You know, it got me on the property ladder at a young age and has just made, you know, basically all of this possible. It just and a lot easier to do. So, but I wanted to point something out. I bought that house when I was 18. I sold it 13 years later for $20,000 less than I paid for it. So I lost money on that house. And that's my first point. My first of 5 tips and points that I'll make about buying houses. Houses don't automatically go up in value. I'm living proof that you can lose money buying houses. And I know obviously there was a huge housing crisis in the States and to a lesser extent in Canada and around the world, but so people are sort of painfully aware of it in some cases. But strangely, people forget very quickly when the house market is sort of like going up by like 12% or whatever it is a year, like it is in Toronto right now. Everyone assumes that they are guaranteed to make money if they buy a house and hold on to it. And that's just not the case. So keep that in mind when you're buying a house. Point number 2 that I have written down here is, right, there is always another house. You get in there, you're looking at a house, you find this place, you're like, oh, it's my dream home, I can't live without it. And you really feel that if you don't get this house, you're gonna, like, I don't know, die or explode or something like that. The reality is, you won't. You will forget it. If you don't get that house, it will be out of your mind before you buy the next one. It is amazing that way. There's something about, I don't know, about the frenzy of buying. There's something sort of instinctual or sort of chemical that takes over in your brain, and you feel that you just can't live without this house. The reality is there is always another house. You will find one, I guarantee you. I have never found myself lying in bed one night going like, if we'd only been able to get that house. It doesn't happen. So there you go. That's my experience anyways. Maybe there's someone else has some different things to say about it, but certainly I would say there is always another house. Number 3, there's always something wrong with your house. You know, I was talking to Christine and she was saying her fear of buying a house would be that there is, you know, what if something was wrong with it? And I was saying, well, there will be, no matter what, no matter how much, you know, home inspections you do or due diligence on the home, no matter how much you know about it or you think you know about it, the reality is there are walls, there are basements, there are roofs that you can't see into, and something will go wrong. It always does. And you just have to, part of owning a house is knowing that something's going to go wrong and you're not going to have any control over that. So there you go. So number 3 is there's always something wrong with the house you buy. That's just part of home ownership. You just learn to sort of take that in, and that becomes part of the process. Even for someone who's uptight and terrified of things that they can't control, as me, it's just a part of home ownership that you just get used to. So number 4, the little things that bother you when you're looking at the house. You go like, it's a little far from the subway, or I guess the neighbor's house is a bit of a mess. Those things will drive you crazy when you own the house. I mean, you will be driven to freaking distraction by those little tiny things that you thought you could put up with when you're looking at the house. So consider them, and consider them hard, because they will come back to haunt you in a big, big way if you end up buying the house. So keep in mind those little niggling concerns in the back of your mind. Those things will haunt you, and, well, worse than haunt you, they'll be in your face the whole time that you're living there. So keep that in mind. And last but not least, I would say, unless you truly understand real estate, you're in the market, you know the whole way these things work, buy a home, not a house. You are looking for a place where you can live that's suitable for yourself and your lifestyle and your job and your family and your dog. Many cases the dog has a big part of it, certainly in ours. You know, when the dog comes in and just sits down and lies down and enjoys himself, I go, it's a good home. So basically, what I'm saying is, don't try to outsmart the market. Don't try to be, more clever than the people who really know this stuff. I think it's a fool's game. I buy houses because it's the right place for us to live at that time, and I have been, and I've it has served me well. That advice has served me well, because then even when things aren't in style anymore, or times change, or the real estate market changes, the reality is you have the house that you want, that makes sense to you. So it's buy a home, not a house. And there you go. So there's my 5 tips for buying a house. I would love to hear from you guys. If there's anything you've got to add or anything you want to contradict there, I'm sure there are a few of those. I would love to hear about it. I'd love to hear your horror stories and your tips and your traps and all that kind of stuff. So comment below, let me know about that. And until we geek again, cheerio.